Hello, this is the October 2023 post-board meeting video update. I want to take a few minutes to highlight our board meeting from last night. We had a really great meeting, and I just wanted to capture a few of the things. As always, the board reviewed a couple components of our strategic plan. They reviewed our belief statement, which is we believe positive relationships are essential for student engagement and academic success. We absolutely feel that that's critical. Every child in our entire district deserves an opportunity to connect with someone in staff, one of our staff members, and certainly they all need to feel loved by all of us. We have been working hard with our team on helping students become more engaged, self-starters and self-learners. And part of that is this work that we're doing with learner dispositions, and this is helping students, again, learn resiliency and perseverance and grit. So each building has been identifying what really is the disposition of a learner that we want to have instilled here across our district. But none of that work can happen without really good connections and really good student relationships. And so we're really proud of our team who works hard at that. I think that's something that's a highlight for our district. The board also reviewed and discussed a board norm, the board norm that once a decision is made, we as a board will communicate the board's decision with support as a unified group. This board does not always agree, and they often challenge each other, which is great for our organization as we continue to advance and grow. But in the end, we are all supportive of the school system, and we're moving forward in a positive relationship, and they continue to help me become a better leader and help us improve as a district. I want to highlight, obviously, tonight, we have the trunk or treat. We encourage you to attend. I haven't heard anything about a weather change yet. We'll continue to evaluate that. And of course, if something changes, we will let you know. We will not be having any kind of event inside if it doesn't, but we'll make sure that event's communicated out. On November 7th, we are having our groundbreaking event at the playground, or at the park, at Wolfpack Park, the groundbreaking. We'll have opening ceremony of the groundbreaking around noon. I know there's been information posted on Facebook and social media. There's been flyers and things that have been circulating. And then we'll have some tours offered afterwards for those that might like to see back into the park. We'll have big, large 6-foot banners of all the items, kind of where their location will be as we drive through the park on some Jeeps. So we're really excited about that event. Our enrollment looks pretty good and stable as we've kind of been evaluating that. I will just say this, that we have been having conversations with our administrative team and across the region, frankly, about the importance of attendance. And this isn't really, none of our conversations have been, we need attendance to drive more dollars to the district. We are highly locally driven by local revenues, so attendance doesn't play the same thing for us as it does in other districts, even like a Galena or others that may not have as much local support as we do. So for us, it's really a dialogue around how do we help students improve academically. The work that goes on in the classroom is important. If a student is struggling at all, if they're missing a lot of days of school or any days, they're missing learning, that that gap begins to widen. And so we just encourage you to, as a parent, as a guardian, it's really on you to make attendance a priority for your kid. And so, obviously health comes into play on that time. And there's times, if they're throwing up or they're sick, they shouldn't come to work or come to school. But we do have medical staff. We do have nurses that can also assess that. So if your child isn't throwing up and doesn't have a fever, then certainly we'd love to have them here working with us, and our nursing staff can evaluate them. So we discussed that. We talked about a really, really cool opportunity. We do know, as something that I've learned as I've been here, this is my 5th year here in our community, that we do have a drug issue in our community. We do have a lot of substance abuse use. And so we've been thinking about, as there's been an uptick in marijuana use specifically, it happened when the dispensaries started coming into town. The ease of access of marijuana use has increased across the area. What we're hearing from kids, and we've had kids, let me just phrase it that way, we've had kids who have had drug use, specifically marijuana use, and that has escalated their heart rate to a point where we've had to have ambulance come and take them to hospitals. What I'm being told is the THC levels in the marijuana that they're getting, it's 90 to 100% THC versus the marijuana that kids smoked back in the 70s, 80s. was around 10 to 15% THC levels. And so the marijuana is just flat out, it's just different. Either way, it's bad. And we've been trying to figure out how do we address an issue that's really a community issue more than just a school alone issue. And the only thing I could think of in my mind was, education. Education is the key. That's what we have control of. And so as I was having these talks, I actually ran in and got acquainted with the Brooks Wellness Center, Rosie and Stan at the Brooks Wellness Center. That center is a licensed center with licensed counselors and therapists who specialize in all kinds of mental health, drug treatment, counseling services. They have a variety of services, but they also really specialize in drug treatment and counseling. And so as we started visiting with them, it just was the perfect timing. They have written a grant and acquired funds to support any student in our district who may be struggling with a drug abuse issue, that we can have them go to the center and they can go get treatment. So what this looks like, if we have a student, this is kind of where we're starting. If we have a student who is disciplined, is caught using drugs at school, I always see those kids, because just a kind of a quick overview, a building principal can only suspend a kid for up to 10 days by law. So if a building principal has a weapon, a drug-related offense, a sexual-related offense, whatever those big extreme things are, while they wish they could administer more than 10 days and they would do that, they have to give it to me, and I'm the one who has to administer that. So I review the file, review the information, and then I send communication home to the families on when the exact return date is. And so I always see those offenses. And so what we're doing is, if a child has a first-time related offense, they have the option of going to the wellness center covered under this grant. It won't cost the family anything. They get screened by Missouri licensed professionals, and in that screening, it'll identify whether that kid is really just a first-time peer pressure user, and so that education is going to be different than if a kid is really an addict or a kid that's on the track to addiction and has multiple uses. And so that level of therapy will be more intense. We don't get involved in that at all. All we're doing is, if a child has a first-related offense, we'll issue the standard discipline that we would do. But if they go participate in the educational piece, then and I have proof and verification that in a letter. We don't, obviously there's HIPAA and confidentiality, right? So we don't get into any of the treatment pieces. But if I just get proof that they've gone through the program, then we'll reduce their discipline and they can get back to school. Which is, honestly, having kids out of school, we know isn't the best thing. There's a balance between, obviously we can't have kids using drugs in our school and our campus, so they do need to be removed from the regular setting, but we need to get them educated. So I imagine over the next couple of years we'll be evolving how we manage these types of issues, but this is our kind of first step, is really providing an educational opportunity. So we're really excited about that. Dr. Kite presented a professional development plan. I'll say this in regards to our professional development plan. We are so appreciative of our school calendar. The 4-day school week has been a game changer for us. It has allowed us to go really deep with staff on professional learning. And I know from those who aren't familiar may just see our schedule looking adjusted. Kids don't have to go to school as much, but our staff still engages in professional development on many of those days that kids are not here. And it allows us to really embed deep research-based practices. We have professional development coming up where we're meeting with all the Tri-Lake school districts, and we're just collaborating during that day off, and sharing best practice. So our calendar is super critical. When we go down to work a school calendar, the first thing we start with in that discussion is professional learning. What's the best thing to help our staff grow? So we look at the beginning days before school, we look at each of those days each month that we're having professional development, and then we kind of work the schedule around that. And so we just want you to know that we appreciate your support in our school calendar. We discussed last night an opportunity. We've been approached by a third-party vendor that works with Verizon to install cell towers across areas of the country. Verizon is interested in having a cell tower put on our campus to serve our community in our area. We're really open and excited about that opportunity. As you know, cell coverage is an issue in our area. It's specifically a communication issue in our district. Various areas in our district, in and out of buildings, we have connectivity issues. So we're hopeful that if we pursue this and continue along this path of having a cell tower put on campus, that it will significantly impact our communications, which is a safety and security thing. We've done a lot of research and looked at all the impacts of cell towers on radiation, and the research absolutely is long. They've had enough research now that there's no indication that actually there's more radiation coming from your cell phone in your pocket than there is from the cell tower. If you were to climb up to the top of the cell tower and be by the equipment, yes, that would be a higher level. But being down on the ground where the cell tower waves are up high, it is not a concern. Obviously, that's why you're seeing these around buildings in other places. So we're looking at a spot on our campus. We're still exploring contracts. It'll take some time, but we're hopeful to be able to move on that. The board is reviewing a USDA policy. We'll continue reviewing that over the next coming weeks. So more discussion will follow on that. And then the final thing that the board approved my recommendation of adding a new position. It's a director of information and technology. This is absolutely critical. This is a gap in our district. We need somebody who has the leadership skills and the knowledge base to be able to lead our district in tech. It's something that I think is going to be a pivotal point for our district, both from a security standpoint, but for best practices. This individual will be somebody who's collaborating with peers, who's collaborating with security professionals, technology professionals, educational professionals, ensuring that we're using the best practices here for our team. So they're going to be really the advocate and the leader over that area and that department. They'll be implementing several steps and working to refine those steps that I've even identified in my deep dive over the last several months into tech. So we're really excited about. We really felt this will be a game-changing position for our district, and we look forward to how it will impact us. I believe, based off of some other adjustments we're going to be making within that department and within our budget, that when it's all said and done, this will actually be a budget positive decision. We'll be making some other adjustments to providers and things that we use that will end up reducing the amount of money that we're paying out. So I actually think when it's all said and done, we for sure won't be spending extra dollars, more budget allocation for this position. So it really should be a budget neutral, if nothing else, if not a budget positive decision for our district. So I know from our educational staff that I've already talked to, super excited about this. This is an area that's been a challenge, and obviously some gaps identified there. So we are planning on posting that position probably this week. And if all goes well and we have a really solid applicant pool, we're not going to rush it. We obviously want the right applicant, but we have a good applicant pool. We're hopeful that we can hire somebody before the December board meeting. But we're going to take our time to make sure we have the right individual on staff. So that was the board meeting. We had a great evening. I appreciate all your support. We encourage you to continue engaging with your staff. If you have concerns, calling the teacher is the most critical piece. If you have a concern on the field or in the classroom, go to those individuals, collaborate with them. Our people really want to do well. The last thing our people want to do is not really treat people well and make life miserable. So if you have a challenge or an obstacle that you're experiencing, just talk to our staff. That's what I encourage you to do. Whenever I get calls of concern, I always just direct them right to the staff members, and then they get worked out. And so our staff, while we're not perfect, we definitely care about our kids. We have a mission of being the best. We're continuing trying to challenge the status quo to make the educational experience great for your children. We appreciate all your support, all that you do. Please have a safe and wonderful fall. It's beautiful weather coming, and just wish everybody the best. Thank you.